chat, see if anything else has come in. MashaAllah. Participate in more competitions. Help my daughter define her passion project. Excellent. We're going to talk a lot about this. Get into an Ivy League. Inshallah. May Allah make it easy. Get direction for college and dean. Um, let's see. What is the link for this Zoom? So the link for this Zoom is if you registered, it will be in your email. Everyone gets their own personalized link because you come in under your name. Um, it is being live streamed, I believe. And I don't know if Amar is here, or any of the other 5 Before College team who are here can maybe put the link for the YouTube live streaming in the chat, but hopefully people can join in person. All right, we're up to about 80%, so I'm going to end this poll and share the results with you so we can see how it's going. So we have the most people we have are high school students. MashaAllah, that's great with 39%. Next up, we have mothers, 26%, middle school students, 16, some fathers, a few college students, and then some other people as well. Grades, mashallah. So this is your grade or your oldest child. So we have a nice mixture of the whole 5 Before College demographic, eighth through 12th grade, with ninth graders. Ninth graders are in the lead, mashallah. Um, so what kind of school do you go to? So 50% go to public school, 17% Islamic school, some private school, some homeschool, 8% are homeschool, mashallah. 10% are in college or university. Coming from, mashallah, New England is, or the Northeast is represented well. That's where I am right now. I'm actually in Maine, at my parents' house up here. This is my mom's office, and nice background back behind me is there. And I generally live in the Boston area, so mashallah, but we have people from all over the country, and then at least 9 people from outside of the United States. We have people register for this from Dubai, from India, from Pakistan, from all over the world, in addition to, mashallah, the core, which are here in the States. All right, let's keep on going. Bismillah. So just, biggest some pieces of housekeeping. This, at least in terms of registrants, this was our biggest group ever, alhamdulillah. So both the chat and the Q&A are enabled. For the chat, we're going to be using the chat quite a lot today, for me to ask different questions, and so on. If you have questions, my wife Ruhina is also going to be there, helping out, helping answer any technical type things, and other members of our 5 Before College team. But if you have questions about content, if something comes up and you want to learn more about that, please put that in the Q&A section. We're not at the end of the webinar. We're going to have lots of time to answer the questions that you might have. But as they come up, as you're listening, put them in the Q&A section, and people can upvote those questions which they really want to hear the answers for, in case we don't have time for all of them. Also, if you can put those 3 exclamation points in the chat when you hear something new or something like, that you're like, wow, that's an amazing concept. That's always helpful for me. And inshallah, we will try our best to keep this to 90 minutes. One major thing, we have had issues with this in the past, maybe some of those middle school students, do not spam the chat or the Q&A. Don't just send the same thing over and over again. And try to, we have a big group here. Do not, make sure your contributions in the chat are useful. Okay, so let's get into the core of our material. So what makes you stand out? When you look at this picture, right, there's probably only one thing that you really notice. Right? What is the one thing you really notice? Let's see who puts it first in the chat. Um, who's gonna be our first person? The red umbrella, mashallah. Yasser, you were the fastest. Very impressive. So what this red umbrella, I like to use this metaphor. When you're applying to college, right? What you want to do is you want to become that red umbrella. Right? This is sort of foundational concept within this whole college process, right? You do not want to get lost in the sea of gray, right? You don't want to get lost in and just be one of those black umbrellas. There are lots of very, very qualified candidates who apply to college. They have the stats, they have the GPA, they have all sorts of things, but they don't have that X factor. They don't stand out. They don't become that red umbrella. And as a result, they tend to underperform, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to try to figure out how can you use 2025 to become that red umbrella? Because when you become that red umbrella, what I like to say is that you become a magnetic Muslim. So instead of chasing after colleges, right? The colleges are going to come chasing after you, right? If you really transform yourself and you really try to focus on all the things we're talking about today, right? Instead of you chasing after colleges and putting colleges on the pedestal, instead the colleges are going to come chasing after you. So how can we do this in 2025? That's the main topic for today, right? So one of my favorite quotes is that we often overestimate what we can do in a day, but underestimate what we can do in a year. Right? So we overestimate what we can do in a day. We think we're just gonna be super productive and we're gonna get everything done, right? But the reality is you can only get so much done in one day. But we underestimate what we're capable of doing in a year. And I see this in my own life, right? At this time last year, five before college, the company that I run was just a one-man show. Now, alhamdulillah, we have a team of four. We've launched tons of successful programs. That's just been in 1 year of development, right? And why is that? It's because of this power of tiny tiny gains. This comes if you've read Atomic Habits. James Clear is the first person I learned about this from. But if you get 1% better every day, right? That's 1.01 raised to the 365th power. By the end of that year, you are 37 times better. You're 37 times better by the end of the year. Whereas if you get 1% worse, right, by the end of the year, you're at 0.03 of what you were to start the year, right? So these are really important ideas that we don't need to, try to just, become amazing overnight, but we just need to get a little bit better every day in these different areas that we're going to talk about today. Um, well, I like that heart that you guys sent up. That's maybe even easier for me to see than the exclamation points. So jazakallah khair. The emojis are nice. So if you hear something good, then send up those hearts. And can we just practice that right now to make sure that everyone knows how to do that? So there we go. I'm seeing some hearts. Nice, mashallah. Ooh, some other. There we got some. Things. We got some crying emojis, celebrations. Nice. Okay, thank you. You can stop now unless this slide is just mind-blowing for you. All right. So 5 facts about me. So alhamdulillah, I accepted Islam at 15, and I describe myself as a Mayflower Muslim. In other words, that on both my father and mother's side, our ancestry goes all the way back to the Mayflower and to the Pilgrims. And so I try to blend my sort of New England heritage with my Islamic identity. So I'm a big Patriots fan, Celtics fan, and all those kinds of things. But also, first and foremost, I am a Muslim, of course. Alhamdulillah, I graduated from Harvard in 2001 with a degree in Near Eastern languages and civilizations, so sort of Arabic language, Middle Eastern history, and things like that. Alhamdulillah, in my career, I've done a lot of things, but one of the things I'm most proud of, I helped transform an underfunded Islamic school here in the Boston area into a powerhouse that now sends students to the Ivy League and other top colleges, right? It certainly was not all me. There are so many amazing people there. But really, it's like the little engine that consistently churns out these amazing students who really perform well despite having very, very limited resources. Alhamdulillah, I've helped hundreds of Muslim students achieve top college results while staying anchored to their faith. And in 2023, I founded Five Before College to combine my 20 plus years of experience in education with this mission to help Muslim teens thrive in this world and the next and get into the college of their dreams. So that's a little bit about me. So what is Five Before College? So it's Akhirah first college planning starting 5 years before college. So people, one of the questions I get asked the most is, when should I start planning for college? And I have a very clear answer for you. 5 years before college. That's the best time to start planning for college. So way back in eighth grade. Um, so, alhamdulillah, we have a proven track record of helping students gain admission to these top universities, places like Harvard, MIT, Johns Hopkins, UPenn, Brown, Dartmouth, University of Chicago, you name it, we probably have sent a student there. We follow what's called a freemium model. So 99% of the stuff we do, we give away for free. So things like this webinar, I send out usually 2 emails a week. We have a popular WhatsApp group called Path to College. I'll give you a chance to join that later if you're not already in it. But we do offer premium one-on-one and group coaching programs like Find Your Qibla and the College Essay Bootcamp. And so we'll talk about that a little bit later in the webinar towards the end. But really, we try to be a one-stop shop for college prep, starting as early as eighth grade, and designed to help you get into a top college while staying true to your faith, inshallah. Um, all right. So as I said, Find Your Qibla is sort of our core program. We're currently running a cohort, an amazing cohort right now with 26 students in it. And the goal of this Find Your Qibla program is to form this unshakable bond with Allah Ta'ala, first and foremost, but then to dig deep to discover your Qibla. And design a big vision, dream big about what you can accomplish in this Hayat Dunya. And then work backwards to design something called a Saturday morning project. We'll talk about that towards the end of this presentation. And then, inshallah, gain acceptance to the college of your dreams, but most importantly, build a life that leads straight to Jannat al-Firdaus, inshallah. So, what is the Five Before College? So, part of it is about starting 5 years before college, which I've already mentioned. The other part of it is based on the famous hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who said, "اغتنموا خمسا قبل خمس." Take benefit of 5 before 5. Your youth before old age, your health before sickness, your wealth before poverty, your free time before busyness, and your life before death. So this has always been one of my favorite hadith, and I started a Substack newsletter a couple of years ago, and it's called 5 Before 5, because I think that these 5 categories really encompass pretty much everything we need to do as humans, and especially everything we need to do in high school. And so actually today's talk is going to be founded on these 5 principles. So when we said 5 steps to achieving success in 2025, we're going to base it on all of these things. So I'll go into much more detail as we get into those things. But if we work on our youth, in other words, our academics and our intellectual curiosity, if we work on both our physical and our mental health and sports and things like that, if we work on our wealth, right? If we start to use high school as a means of deciding what our future career might be, we look for scholarships, we figure out about how to pay for college and actually earn some money. And then if we then free time before busyness, we look at our extracurriculars and planning really great extracurriculars. And also our friendships are so important. And finally, our life before death, we focus on our character, our akhlaq, and of course our faith, our iman, and our Islamic practices. If we can focus on all those areas, then inshallah we will find great success both in this world and the next and in this whole college process. So alhamdulillah, this formula works, right? So these are some of the colleges that some of our students have gotten to in the past. And alhamdulillah, we have some new ones to add from this most recent cycle. Alhamdulillah. Let's keep going. Um, So, if you would like to join our WhatsApp group, that would be we'd love that. I don't know if anyone on our team could share the actual join link. Actually, there are probably other people in this webinar who are in Path to College too. But if you would like to share it, if you somehow can't scan the QR code, but this WhatsApp group, we actually there are a few. There's Path to College 1, but we maxed out at 1,024 people in that one. So we had to create this Path to College 2. We're now up at six or 700 people in that. And we also have something called Path to College Experts, which I can get you in separately. That's one which only college experts post in, so it's not quite as crazy. But this group has sort of become a place where Muslims from all over the country who really care about education and their kids have spirited discussions, share resources. I mean, I learn so much from being a part of that group and helping run that group. We also do other things, as I mentioned, webinars like this, emails on usually on Mondays and Thursdays to the email list as well. Okay, so, from chaos to clarity, prioritize like a president. So, I'm starting with some foundational principles to figure out how we can really thrive in 2025. And this is one of the most critical ones. Okay, so this is called the EissenHower Box or the Eisenhower Matrix. So Dwight D. Eisenhower, who was the 34th president in the United States and a famous general as well, he said, "What is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important." Okay. And so if you think about it, we can break our lives up into these, break things that we do in our life into these different quadrants, right? So some of us, we focus on things that are not important and not urgent. So in this bottom right hand thing. So things like scrolling, endless scrolling on social media. Things like, just watching tons and tons of television. Things that we're not are just they're not urgent, they're not important, and so really the best advice here is to delete those, or at least delete as much as possible. I'm not a social media absolutist. I certainly have some social media. I think it's definitely okay to decompress, but if you find if it starts to take over your life, when now TikTok is under threat, and some of the students, they're like so scared, they don't know what they're going to do with their life. That's a problem, right? If something like that is so worrisome to you, then you need to evaluate your priorities. Then there are things that are urgent, but they're not super important. So, for a professional, this might be things like scheduling interviews, booking flights, answering some emails, that kind of stuff. So, as much as possible, you try to delegate. Now, you might say, as a teenager, how do I delegate tasks? I can't really hire people, but you can delegate tasks by automating certain things, by using some AI tools and things like that, and just generally, look for ways to take the things off your plate that you have to get done, but that aren't super important. Then we move into the things which are both important and urgent. Right? This is the quadrant, I would argue, where most people spend most of their time. So these are things for students like doing your homework, writing your essay, and just getting things done that are time bound, that have a deadline that's coming up quickly. So when you focus on things that are urgent and important, right? Those are things that we do need to do. Those are the things you need to do. But the problem is that, and we'll talk about this on the next slide, is that most of us, we wait until the urgency builds up to an intense level, right? Because many of us need this, uh, what do you call it? Deadline pressure in order to perform, right? I've been talking about college applications with seniors for so long, and many of them, alhamdulillah, they plan it out and they have a strategy all along. Some of them get it done as early as the summertime, but I have others. The main college applications are due on January 1st. There are people who are just now, after, during this winter break, finally getting serious about writing their supplements, right? This procrastination is what causes us to live so much in that quadrant. Now, the most important quadrant by far is this upper right one, right? Things which are important, but they're not urgent, right? These are the most important ones, and this is what Dwight D. Eisenhower was talking about. So he mentions things like exercising, staying in touch with our family and friends, doing, long-term projects, passion projects, those sorts of things. These are things that you don't have to do, right? And there's no time pressure to do them. Memorizing Quran is another one, right? You don't have to do these things, but these are the things which will actually help you. The things in that quadrant are the things that will actually help you become that red umbrella. And those are the things that so many people do not do very much. They don't spend very much time. And how is it that you manage to focus on that? You need to schedule, right? You need to schedule a time to do it. You need to build in time to the architecture of your life to work on those long-term projects. You need to set aside. So we'll talk a lot about the Saturday morning project. You're blocking out time every Saturday morning, right? Or another time that you have to work on your passion project, to work on, some other sort of dream, right? So this is where we want to be spending most of our time, or we want to be really focusing on things in that upper quadrant, right? But unfortunately, most of us, as I said, get stuck in that, the things that are important but urgent, right? Why are we stuck in the tyranny of the urgent, right? Why are we stuck there, right? It's not that we need more time. That's what people always say. I don't have any time. I don't have any time. But then you look at their screen time and you look at how much time they spent on Instagram or or TikTok or other things, and you find actually there are an extra 3 or 4 hours in your day, right? But we don't. You're doing your homework and you're saying my homework takes 3 4 hours, right? It probably doesn't actually take 3 to 4 hours, but you're distracted. You're getting notifications, right? You're on a FaceTime call with your friends. You're not just sitting down and getting your work done. So we don't need more time. We need more focus, right? But there are different types of procrastinators. I really liked this slide that I just discovered today, right? There are the distracted procrastinators, right? People who just sort of are, you know, uh, just letting their attention be split among many different things, right? They're the busy procrastinators. Okay, that's an interesting one. For a lot of people, it's a mark of pride, how busy we are, right? But the reality is that being busy is not not something that we should strive towards, right? A lot of us get busy in those quadrant, those things which are not even that important, right? And we just add things to our to-do list to feel productive, right? But we're not really pushing the ball forward on our big long-term goals. Some of us are perfectionists, right? The thing which is holding us back and making us procrastinate is that we have this necessity to do something perfectly, right? And this prevents us from even starting. Some people just are full of guilt, right? They procrastinate because they're just always blaming themselves and they have all these self-limiting beliefs. Some of us are just disorganized, right? We just don't even know, we don't have any priorities because we haven't written anything down and we're just sort of going through life like that. And then there are the dreamers, the daydreamers, the people who are, constantly thinking up big plans. They're thinking of those quadrant four things, but they're never actually taking any action, right? So how do we overcome this procrastination, right? Some specific strategies, okay? We said this would have tangible, actionable things, right? So three things here. One is the language we use. So many times I hear students, when they have like an essay and they're starting to freak out about it, they say things like, I have to finish, right? So we have to be very careful with the language that we use. We can make a slight reframe to that, and instead of saying, I have to finish this essay, You say, I choose to start this essay for 5 minutes. Right? When you switch from I have to finish to I choose to start, a lot of amazing things happen. First of all, I have to is a compulsion, right? It's being forced on you from an external force. And then I have to finish means that you're thinking about the project as a whole. You're thinking about the end point, right? Whereas I choose to start, you are taking control, right? It's a decision that you are making, right? And instead of saying I choose to finish, you're saying I choose to start, right? Because that's the thing which we struggle to do. Once you start, usually you build up some momentum, and then you add in the 4 or 5 minutes, right? Because almost all of us can do anything for 5 minutes. And typically what you'll find is once you get through those first 5 minutes, you'll be able to keep on going. Okay, some other strategies. We can eat that frog, right? So I've shown this many times in different things, and people always really like this one. So the frog, what is the frog? The frog is that thing that you're dreading, the thing that you really don't want to do. It might be an assignment, right? It might be, some sort of really difficult task, something that has been on your to-do list for day after day, and you just keep on pushing it forward because it's something you don't really want to face, right? So the frog, what we do is we try to eat that frog. So when we sit down, right, that's the thing we do first. If you just ate a frog every day for 365 days and got 1% better by just eating your frog, your life would be unimaginable compared to what it is today. But the reality is most of us do not attack and eat that frog. The other one is the Pomodoro technique. So this is a great way to help study for some people. Some people say it doesn't work as well for them, right? But this idea that in order to focus, right, we decide on what we have to do, and there's only one thing that we're going to do during this time. We set a timer for 25 minutes, and then we work on that task until the timer rings, right? We just focus on that one thing for 25 minutes, right? After the timer rings, we take a 5-minute break. We do something different. We drink some water. I'm going to drink some water. It's probably been 25 minutes. And then we come back and we focus again. You might be still doing that initial thing, or we choose a new thing. But single tasking and just focusing on that one thing, having no other tabs open on our browser, having our phone in airplane mode or far away from us, and just getting down to it, that's going to be transformative. And after you've done about 4 Pomodoros, take a longer break. Give your brain some time to relax. And if you do that, your homework will not be taking 4 or 5 hours, right? Unless you're just taking an insane course load. You will be able to get things done much faster. And once you can get the things that you have to do, or that you choose to do, I guess, done faster, then you'll have all the time left to do those things in the upper quadrant. Um, okay, so this is going to be our first chat storm. So I would like you guys to take a little second to think, and then write in the chat what is one thing that you've really wanted to do for a long time, but have been putting it off because you just haven't had enough time. So think about yourself, whether you're a kid or you're an adult, right? Think about something that you've really wanted to do for a long time, but you've just been putting it off because you just haven't had enough time. And let's see what we get in the chat. All right. Code a game. Study for that test. Apply to certain scholarships. Start a school newspaper. I finish your resume. Research project. Um, Start the culminating assignment for science, right? The like capstone science, an essay that until a few days ago. Um, Outdoor track. Finish your crochet project. Read the Sira book that you've had for 2 years. SubhanAllah. Start a fundraiser. What else do we have? Plan your Eagle Scout project. Remake your comic book. Learn a foreign language. Yeah, my son's doing Duolingo for Turkish. Inshallah, we're planning to spend a bunch of time in Ramadan in Turkey, and I'm very proud of him for that. Attend a club meeting for community service. Start to write your book. SubhanAllah. Apply for a PhD program. Start memorizing Quran. Make a list of colleges. I can't keep up, mashallah. There's so many. But please read those. Unfortunately, you can't seem to leave reactions on within this, which is too bad because it's always good for people to see. Get your driver's license. Yep, that's a huge one. So if you think about all those things, right? Those are things that you just came up with from this one prompt. How can we get those things done and much more in 2025, right? We need the scheduled time to get those things done. Um, okay, so this gets into goal setting, right? You guys just talked about things that you wanted to get done. I want you to turn those into goals, right? People who set goals are 10 times more likely to be successful, right? And people who actually write down their goals, right, are 42% more likely to achieve them than people who simply make goals, they state them out loud, or they think them, but they don't actually write them down, right? But despite this, 83% of people do not set any sorts of goals for themselves, right? They never set any goals, right? But people who set these time-bound goals, right? We're not going to go into the whole SMART goal framework, but you can Google it or ask ChatGPT to help you come up with a smart goal for whatever you're trying to do. But people who set time-bound goals and then report their progress. They create accountability with their peers or their family. They increase their chances of getting of achieving those goals by 40%. Right. So what we're going to be doing today, as we get into these five things, these youth before old age and so on, we're going to be giving some background and some ideas about how you can work on those five different areas. And then at the end, for each of them, I'm going to ask you to share your Nia for that particular area, right? So I want you to share it in the chat, but I also want you to write it down. Write it down on ideally on a piece of paper or in your phone. I want you to do this and to actually hold yourself accountable to try to really work on these things throughout this 2025. If this isn't the purpose of everything we do is not information, right? This is not an informational webinar. This should be a transformational inspiration, inshallah, but also transformation. And transformation is only going to happen if you actually take action on the things that you hear today. So write your goals down as you make them and share them with us. Um, okay. So this is going to be another activity. For this one, I do need to get this in the chat. Oops, sorry. Let me escape. I'm going to copy this and put it in the chat. Um, so I would like everyone to click on that thing. It's going to bring you to something called the Score app. Okay, doesn't seem to be bringing me there. Hope it works for you. Can people? Oh, I didn't post it for everyone. Sorry. There we go. Let me go back to the QR code in case people are using that. That's the QR code. So please go to that. That is something that we have recently created. It is. Let me open. It's going to take you to a page that looks like this, and you just say, take the FBC College Readiness Quiz. You do have to just quickly put in your name and your email. So let me just do that. And then it's going to just ask you a series of questions. When you're doing this, try to answer it. If you're a parent, try to answer it as you see your teenager, right? So try to answer it not for yourself, but for the teenager or the person that you're trying to do it for. Okay, so my daughter is in 10th grade. I am male. I'm from the Northeast. She goes to an Islamic school. All right. And then what's going to happen is for each of these categories, it's going to have 5 questions that you just answer. How effectively do you manage your time, right? And again, if you're a parent, think about your child. And if both of you are here, it'll be interesting to see if you. What's that? You can't see. Okay. My daughter is telling me that that you cannot see. So going to share that again. Um, okay, hopefully you can see that now. So sorry, I was just going through all of that. But for each of these questions, just go through and answer them. Uh, Again, if you're a parent, based on what you think your child is doing. And at the end, it's going to give you a percent score based on sort of how you're doing in terms of these five different areas. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing that. Let's see why my camera's not working. Oh, huh. The camera has stopped working. It's back. I can't see. Okay, you see me now. Um, Sorry about all of that. All right, so I will know that you are done with that once you start posting your percentages. The percentage will be out of 100% of how you do in this college readiness quiz. So the idea of this quiz is to find the gaps before the admissions officers do, right? So there will probably be some areas where you're doing very well, alhamdulillah, and there are probably some areas where you're struggling. Try to be as honest with yourself as possible as you're going through this, right? And it's going to tell you, give you scores for each subsection, each of these 5 points, how you're doing in these different areas, and then, inshallah, during the actual presentation that we'll get back to soon, we will look at how you can improve in each of those areas. Hey. Yes, we will be sharing a recording of this with everyone who registered. Um, sure, you can do it if you're 11 years old. Someone asked that. Why not? It's never too early. Um, hey, I'm going to just be quiet for a moment while people are finishing. Okay, we've gotten our first response. MashaAllah, Yasser, you are quite fast. If you guys post it to everyone, it's helpful as opposed to just to hosts and panelists. If you're shy for whatever reason, that's fine. But don't be shy. Like whatever score you get, try to do that. Mashallah, so we have some 66%. Interesting. 66% seems to be a popular score. 74, 53, 82, 64, 77, 64, 78, right? So now you can imagine, obviously this is not a regular test, and one of the things I really want to get across is not to focus so much on grades, but I know students like to think about grades. Imagine if you were getting grades like that on your tests, you probably wouldn't be super excited. Um, so let's see. Give it another couple of minutes. So we're quite a few in the 70s, um, some in the 60s. I think uh, it's interesting. I've never done this with so many people all at once. And this is a pretty new thing that we've created. So I really don't have a baseline for how people are doing, but it's a pretty cool uh, product thing. This scorecard. It really gives a lot of insight. Um, all right, so I'm going to give it another 60 seconds, and then I'm going to keep on going. Timer, 60 seconds. If anyone needs to drink or use the bathroom, you can do it quickly. All right. So we are done with that. All right, I'm going to go through quickly. So 67. All right, I'm gonna go from the top. I we are here. Just looking for something in particular. Okay, so I don't know if I mentioned, but I'm going to be giving some prizes today. So the first prize is going to go to uh, someone named Basma. Basma. And the prize is going to Basma because of all the people who reported, she actually had the lowest score. Mashallah. 45%. And I'm giving the prize to Basma. Basma, if you can send your email, or actually I can probably find it, but to me so I can send you the prize. That would be great. But 45%. I want to reward honesty, and I also want to reward progress. So I'm really impressed by that, and that means that you also have the most to gain. Obviously, this is an inexact science, and everyone answers it differently. And I said there's absolutely no shame. So 45% was the lowest one I saw. I bet some people will come in. Um, oh, okay. Basma Asawi, and your name is Noor. Okay, interesting. So if you can just yes, send me an email and I mean send me your email and I will share that with you. Okay, sorry. Let's get back into this presentation. Um, so hopefully that was eye-opening, right? I think if can you guys tell me if my screen is sharing properly? Can you see the QR code now? Okay. Someone said yes. Good. Inshallah. All right. So, hopefully that was eye-opening, right? Again, like I think there was maybe one or two B's. Again, this is not a real test. There were a bunch of C's, right? Some D's, some F's, right? So we don't want to have those sorts of grades when we're in school, and so we want to find those gaps again before the admissions officers do. So let's keep on going with this. Um, so the first area is that we need to focus on our youth before old age, right? And this, I really want to talk about excelling beyond academics. So Mark Twain said one of my other favorite quotes. He said, "I've never let my schooling interfere with my education." Right? Keep that in mind. You never let my schooling interfere with my education, right? That school is actually one of the biggest impediments to your growth, right? Because school fills up your mind with all these have tos, right? And prevents people from actually being curious. If you look back at the kindergartners are so curious. They're always asking why, right? By the time you get to fourth, fifth grade, school has rid you of that intellectual curiosity and told you just play the game, figure out what the teacher wants, give them what they want, right? And get your A. So don't let schooling interfere with your education, right? Make sure you're focusing on education, on always learning more, right? That being said, I can't get away from the fact that the single most important part of applying to college and of this whole game is your transcript. Right? So your transcript, which includes not just your GPA, but also the courses that you took, the rigor of the courses, right? If your school offers APs or IBs, right, that you took a bunch of those. If they offer dual enrollment, that you took those dual classes and you took some of the higher level dual classes. Whatever your school offers, that you take a rigorous curriculum and that you do well in that curriculum, that is the most important part of the college application. There's no getting around that, right? And SAT scores for a while, SAT, ACT standardized tests during the pandemic, they'd sort of disappeared. Now they're coming back, and a lot of top schools are requiring them, right? And so, I'm not going to deny that those are important things, but top academics are necessary but not sufficient for acceptance to top tier schools. Okay, so if you really do want to go to an Ivy or a top 20 school, there's no way around it. You do need to have strong academics. You do not, on the other hand, need to go to a top 20 school in order to be successful in your life, right? And we're not going to talk too much about that today. But if you do want to go to those, you do need the strong academics. Um, but uh, I think this is one of the issues within our Muslim community in particular. We have a lot of immigrant families who came here, and they focus very heavily on academics. They focus very heavily on grades. They're hyper focused on things like SAT scores, measurables, right? But the problem with focusing on those sorts of things is those are commodities, right? So a commodity is something that's the same no matter who produces it. So rice, oil, salt, right? It's impossible to distinguish yourself as as salt salesman, right? I mean that's not entirely true. They have this Himalayan rock salt and other things, but in general, salt is a commodity. It's the same everywhere. But when you try to compete on the basis of commodities, right? Those are things that are very, very easy to compare. Things like your GPA, your test scores, common extracurriculars that a lot of people do, right? The number of AP classes. When you focus on those, it's very, very difficult to become the red umbrella because so many of the top candidates have those things. So it's not that you don't need these things. It's important to meet that baseline. But if that's all you have, then you're going to underperform in this college process. So many people come to me, they say, my son has a 1550 SAT and a perfect 4.0, and he applied early to whatever Dartmouth and got deferred or got rejected. What is going on? He did everything right. Alhamdulillah, he did amazing things and he will have an amazing future. But in order to really stand out, you can't compete on commodities, right? So you need to become, don't just aim to be better, aim to be different, right? Create your own category, right? Just like we have that purple duck over there. Um, and one way to do this is to celebrate your weird, right? Those things which are a little different, those idiosyncrasies that you have, the things that make you different than other people, which we try to hide when we're in high school. Those are actually the things which are our competitive advantages, right? And so we need to really focus on celebrating the different parts of us, right? When you have the self confidence to go off and sing a song in front of lots of people, or read your poem, or do things like that, things that light you up, and you're able to do it. That's going to be help you stand out. Right? Intellectual curiosity is much more critical than grades, especially after you meet a certain baseline, right? And the most important part of biggest, easiest way to increase your intellectual curiosity is Iqra, the very first word of the Quran, or revealed of the Quran, right? Is read. So a reading habit. The vast majority of students do not have a reading habit, right? They read what's assigned to them in school. A lot of them don't even do that, right? And they almost never read. And the excuse, I don't have enough time, right? Now look at this stat over here. This is from this great book called Rise of the Reader by a guy named Nick Hutchinson. He actually lives quite near me. I'm trying to bring him, he's an amazing guy. I'm trying to bring him on for a future webinar, maybe in January. And he can give a lot more advice about how to read and why to read and so on. But he gave this stat, which is pretty mind-blowing. So if you replace 15 minutes of your Instagram scrolling, right? And maybe the 15 minutes of, the Netflix session with reading, okay, you're going to be able to just be a completely different person, right? So 15 minutes of reading is about 10 pages, right? That's roughly how it goes. So if you do 10 pages in the morning and 10 pages in the evening, right? So about two 15-minute sessions, just set a timer, right? 20 pages a day times 5 weekdays, right, is 100 pages a week, right? And obviously, a lot of people read on the weekends as well. 100 pages a week times 52 weeks is 5,200 pages a year. 5,200 pages a year divided by the average book size, which is around 250 pages. Obviously, there are longer ones as well. That's over 20 books. So imagine that you change one small habit, right? You set a rule for yourself that I'm not going to go on social media until I've done my 15 minutes of reading, and you'll end up reading 20 books a year and be completely different than everyone else because you're going to live in the world of ideas. Okay, you're going to have interesting things to say during interviews, and you're okay. So other ideas, make sure to do your road work, right? This is comes from this great copywriter. He wrote something called the Boron Letters, and he's actually writing this advice to his son. And his biggest advice to his son is that every day you need to do your road work. And what he meant by that is you need to go on a walk every single day. Okay, and that is one habit that I started since the pandemic that's totally transformed my life. Going on these daily walks is just an incredible way to get your creative juices flowing. Okay, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling a little anxious, if you're feeling depressed, one of the best things you can do is start moving and just go out on a walk. And during that time, you can just think, you can let your mind wander, but you can also listen to things. There are amazing podcasts out there. There are amazing audiobooks, right? If people struggle with reading, right? There's so many ways to get great high quality input, great high quality information, right? And if we do that, when you are online, try to eat your fiber, try to eat your protein, right? Try to watch educational videos. Find YouTubers that actually improve your life. People like Ali Abdal, he's one of my favorite YouTubers. He posts all sorts of things about productivity, genuine, actionable things that you can improve your life with, right? Adopt this kindergartner mindset that I was talking about. Always be asking why, right? And one thing you can do now is now that ChatGPT exists, it is an insanely powerful tool for the curious child, right? Now, obviously, it's also an insanely powerful tool for the lazy child who uses it to avoid doing work, uses it to get their homework done, does it all sorts of things in academically dishonest ways. But if you use it to actually explore your interests, when some idea pops into your head, you just pop it into ChatGPT, you will learn so much and it will take you down rabbit holes. And now that it's connected to the web, you can ask for sources, you can ask to learn more, and it's just an incredible way of being able to learn more. And then finally, just aim to be interested, not interesting. Right? So many kids, they do focus, even if they are focusing on these things, they always want to be the center of attention. They want to sound smart, right? One of the best things you can do is listen to other people, right? Listen to adults in particular, but listen to everyone and be interested in their life. Ask them how they're doing and then listen for the response, right? And that will give you much more charisma and help you learn so much, right? Okay, so here's your chance. I want you to set your first niyyah. So your youth before old age niyyah. What is your 2025 niyyah to upgrade your intellectual curiosity? So I'll give you a minute or so to put that in the chat. Also, make sure you write it down somewhere. What is your niyyah? How are you going to upgrade your intellectual curiosity in 2025? Yes, the slides will also be shared along with the recording, inshallah. I saw a question there. All right, dive into the art of embroidery, mashallah. Um, Someone said the slide of the quiz, please. If you look back, I can find it. You should be able to get it. Um, Copy. Sorry, I to need to just X out of this. No, how do I do this? I'll find it there. All right, so sorry, I stopped looking. Read fiction to expand imagination. Reading more on the history of Islam and Deen. Learn how to publish my comics. Ask more questions. Watch short YouTube videos about each unit in my classes to get a better understanding of the topics. That's a great idea, right? To get some pre-understanding. It allows you to ask much better questions, right? We are moving into a world with all this AI and things where knowing the answer is sort of, pedestrian. It's like an everyday thing, right? The world will be won by people who are able to ask the best questions, right? Write the best prompts. All the knowledge is out there. Now it's just a question of figuring out how to write the best questions to unlock it for whatever it is that you're needing. Read more, talk to more random people to gain an understanding of other perspectives. Beautiful. Um, ChatGPT to learn more about my Qibla. Beautiful. Yeah, we do a lot of that in our class. A lot of you guys are posting to hosts and panelists, so I'm seeing it, but other people aren't. If you post to everyone, then everyone will see it. Become a good Muslim. Right. So when you're setting goals, do try to make them measurable, right? So a SMART goal is specific, it's measurable, right? It's what's the A? It is not appropriate. It's real. R is realistic, and then time bound, right? So we don't need to do all these in the form of SMART goals, but again, you can go into ChatGPT and ask it to create a SMART goal for you. Achievable or actionable or attainable. I'm not sure. Someone can look it up and confirm. Um, but it is important, to actually achieve these goals. If you just say I want to read more, that's very different than saying I'm going to spend, 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the evening reading a book, right? That other one is measurable, it's achievable, it's time bound, all those sorts of things. Okay, health before sickness. So the Prophet ﷺ said, Ibn Abbas said that the Prophet ﷺ said, there are two blessings which many people lose. They are health and the free time for doing good. Right? So we'll have a whole section on free time, but here we're focusing on health, right? Focusing on our health before sickness. They often say that youth is wasted on the young, right? MashaAllah. Right now, you're guys, in terms of your physical health, you're probably in really good shape, so you want to really take care of this body. Okay, one of the best ways to take care of this body is making sure you get enough sleep, right? So sleep is the ultimate performance enhancing drug, right? A full night's sleep improves your learning and memory retention by 40%. There's a great book called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. Incredible insights into the importance of sleep. Dreams help us, put together different ideas, right? This whole idea of sleeping on it, right, actually is scientifically backed. Sleeping on and giving your brain something to think about right before you sleep is one of the best ways to actually solve your problems. So how do we get better sleep? We can adopt this 3-2-1 rule. So we stop eating 3 hours before bed. Right? We stop being on screens 2 hours before bed. The blue light is very dysregulating for our sleep. And then we dim the lights. Okay, one hour before bed. Bright lights, are things that really keep you up. So and practice just good sleep hygiene, right? There's a lot of science around sleep. So sleep in a cool room, right? Get morning, or this one I never knew about, getting light early in the morning, right? So shortly after you wake up, try to spend at least 5 minutes getting direct sunlight, right? Just go out on a short walk or, stand on your porch or do something. It's very good for resetting your circadian rhythm and getting you in touch with that. And then, stop using your phone as your alarm clock. Get an old-fashioned alarm clock. Ideally, charge your phone outside of your bedroom, right? I do not do this, so if my family's listening, you can criticize me for that, but it is an amazingly important thing to do. Certainly, do not bring your phone to bed and just just stay up really late, wasting time on screens. Other things, your body is your engine, right? And so one thing that I get a lot of questions from parents is they say, my son is obsessed with sports, or he's obsessed with soccer, or he's always following professional sports, or he's he's just doing that. The reality is that sports are, whether you're a fantastic athlete or not, sports are an amazing thing that I highly recommend people get involved with at the school level while they're in high school. Right? I played football, I played basketball and squash, and I played tennis, and I continue to play tennis. Tennis and pickleball and golf. Those are things that I've played for life, and they just add so much to your life, right? So they enhance critical thinking, decision making, teamwork, right? Over 97% of student athletes graduate high school, surpassing the non-athletes by 10%, right? 69% of female leaders attribute their leadership skills to youth sports participation, right? So this is something that again we need to work on. A lot of times the boys have outlets for sports, but the girls don't have as many outlets, right? Providing those outlets for girls to exercise as well is so important. And also these unusual sports, right? Unusual sports actually can really help with college. So some examples are crew, so rowing, squash, I mentioned before, fencing, which is popular within the Muslim world, archery. Archery is probably not going to be a college sport, but it certainly would be something that people don't focus that much on, and it's a sunnah. Lacrosse is another sport. Equestrian, anything involving horses, and ultimate frisbee, and so on. So doing some of these less common sports is another way to help stand out. A couple of other things. Start your day with energy. Try to do this 5-5-5-30 routine, right? I did this for a while. I need to get back into it. So when you wake up, you do 5 push-ups, 5 squats, 5 lunges, and then a 30-second plank. Right? If you do this every day, it gets the blood flowing, it gets you a little exercise, and it's really good for mental acuity. And sorry, probably should have started with the hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, "A strong believer is better and dearer to Allah than a weak believer, but there's good in both." Right? So we should work on being strong. Right? In the last year or two, I started going to CrossFit. I try to go 3 times a week. I have never been a gym goer. I haven't lifted weights since football season back in the 90s when I was in high school, right? But it's so good for us. It's like eating that fiber, right? It really brings your brain alive. But we also have to take care of our mental health. Right? Mental health, there's been a huge explosion of mental health, anxiety, depression since the pandemic. So one amazing thing you can do, start each day with an Alhamdulillah avalanche. So what you do to do an Alhamdulillah avalanche is you write Alhamdulillah, and then you mention something that you're grateful for. Alhamdulillah that I have a loving family. Alhamdulillah, that the sun is shining. Alhamdulillah that my cat is purring next to me. Whatever it is, just recognize all the ni'mah, all the blessings that we have. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Ibrahim, "La in shakartum la azidannakum." If you are grateful, I will increase you in favor. So one of the best ways to increase and to do better in 2025 is to be grateful. And nothing transforms your mental health as much as showing gratitude. But also try to adopt some sort of mindfulness practice. Okay, some people like to journal. Journaling is incredibly powerful. If you're really having a tough time, try to do just an emotional dump where you just get everything out in your journal, right? Write the rant that you really want to do. Get it out of your heart. Get it off your heart. Get it off your chest, right? And onto paper. And it's a way to release those feelings. Meditation. There's all sorts of new ways that we can meditate. Just being able. My wife has started something with our kids where they have to do nothing. They have to do nothing for 30 minutes a day, which means that they just sort of have to sit there. They can't be on screens. They're not reading. They're not doing anything. They just do nothing. And that's amazingly good for your brain to just let it sort of wander. Going out on walks is another amazing mindfulness thing. And then there's also something called the 1-1-1 method. This is something that I did for a long time. I have to get back into it. But at the end of the day, when you're getting ready for bed, for those of us who struggle to journal and it's hard to do a longer thing, this takes like less than 5 minutes. So one win from the day. scan back over your day and find one win, something that went well that day. And then one point of tension, one source of stress or anxiety that happened that day. And then the last one is one story-worthy moment, right? So think back over your day and what is the most story-worthy thing that happened? What's something that you might tell a story about? Sometimes there are big things that happen and it's really easy. Other times this is a really hard question. You're like, this was just a boring everyday day, right? But the reality is the best college essays come from those boring everyday things that you just manage to turn into a really cool, interesting college essay. And if you create a bank of 365 story-worthy moments, and then you're sitting down to write your essays and your supplements and all that sort of stuff, you will find and be reminded of all sorts of things that happened in your life that I'm sure you forgot. So if you just start this, it can make a huge difference. So what is your health before sickness niyyah? What is one niyyah that you have to improve your physical or mental health in 2025? So just take a minute or so to write that down, both in the chat and on your piece of paper or your phone or wherever you're taking notes. Let's see. Muraqaba. Yes, muraqaba is our meditation. Practice more volleyball. Nice. Try new foods. Interesting. Daily walks. The 5-5-5-30. Nice. Tennis and volleyball. So we have some sports. Walking, mashallah. Um, taking care of mental health. Riding your bike. Nice. More time at the gym. 3.5 to 4 miles a day. Yeah, I have a Fitbit, which is great. I try to do 10,000 steps a day, or at least an average of 10,000 steps over the course of the week. Um, Gym 4 to 5 days a week. Nice, that's very tangible. Nature walks, beautiful. Exercise before school. That's yeah, especially when Fajr is earlier. If you stay up from Fajr, you can really do amazing things at that time. You can get your exercise in. So for a lot of people, it's when their brain is at its freshest. If you went to sleep early the night before and you got enough. Journaling more, drinking 64 ounces of water, cutting down on sugar, beginning to lift, uh, gaining weight and playing for the soccer team, swim time, mashallah, so many amazing ones. Okay, so again, it doesn't, these are great for you to write down, but the proof is in the pudding, as they say. Okay, these aren't things that you do tomorrow and then are not doing on, January 15th. These are things that you want to actually incorporate into your life and keep going with. All right. So next we have wealth before poverty, right? So a famous Stoic philosopher said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." So this is a reframing of wealth. But that said, one of my goals in 5 before college is to help families, in addition to all the other akhirah focused things we do. I want Muslims to build generational wealth, right? I used to have a sort of weird relationship. When I first became Muslim, I thought that being wealthy and rich and successful in your life would take you away from being successful in the akhirah. And for many people, that is the case, right? They turn the dollar into their illah, their thing that they're following. But if you maintain the proper niyyah, right, you have so many privileges by being up, being from most of us are from the United States, having so many privileges that you can build generational wealth. But even if you do, right, do not focus on possessions and getting so many things of this world, right? If you keep your wants low, then you can. That's one of the best ways, to build that sort of wealth. All right. How can we do this? We need to use our summers and vacations wisely. This free time, right, is so critical. And so really what you need to do, most students get stuck in the classroom. They get stuck in that academic mode. Classrooms are a very artificial place. And being successful in the classroom, having a high GPA, to be honest, even going to top colleges is not the best predictor of success. There's a really interesting book called Why A Students End Up Working for C Students. Why A students end up working for C students. Because a lot of times the people who aren't as good in the artificial environment of school are actually really good in the real world, where the stakes are a little bit higher. They can't force themselves to take it seriously. Now, I'm not recommending that. I'd like you to be an A student who, is, changing the world. But the other thing is, to use our summers and vacations. And right now, I know it's counterintuitive, but the winter is the best time to plan for the summer, right? People who, fail to plan to fail, right? So this is the time when a lot of internships, and other things. A lot of the deadlines are in January, February, March, and you want to do some real research and plan out how you spend that summer. Look for internships, look for different summer programs, look for hackathons if you're more in the CS type area. Look for other contests that you can join. Shadow a professional. MashaAllah, we have so many Muslim professionals. So this is actually a little bit out of date, but most of these things will, the links should still work. Let me put this in the chat for everyone. This is just a list of some resources that we've put together. Some of them are in the Boston area because that's sort of where I'm based. But those are some really great internship programs that former students have done. You know, getting that sort of experience is really important. It's the top college candidates have spent their summers wisely, and a lot of times it's the summer after ninth grade or after 10th grade that's wasted. One of the reasons I started five before college is because it's very hard when a 12th grader comes to me. Essentially what we're doing is we're just figuring out how to tell their story looking backwards, but I'm not able to help them shape their story, to help them make strategic decisions along the way. And so one of the reasons I like to work with students for those 5 years before college is we're able to really build up that profile, create that narrative, right? And a lot of that comes to how you spend your time during the summers and during vacations. Okay, I want to give a challenge, right? And I'm going to give another gift card for this one. So I want you to share in the chat your best idea for how to make $1,000 this year. Okay, this is mainly for students, right? Parents probably, hopefully, are making more than $1,000 through their jobs. But I want you to think about, just challenge yourself. Do a thought experiment. How could you make $1,000, or obviously more than that, right? And the reason I'm doing this is because a lot of times we just don't even consider these things. You will feel really accomplished. You will feel making your first dollar. I remember the first time I made a sale with my online business. I felt like I was on top of the world, right? I was just like, wow, I have made it. And for kids to actually get that experience of earning their own money, hopefully, probably not just by getting a job, but by having something else. So let's give you a little time to think about this. Um, I wish I had someone else to make the choice. I really wanted to do this by upvoting, but I guess you can't upvote uh, the, these things. All right, so we have. Let's see. I'm gonna give it to the sort of most interesting one that I haven't necessarily heard before, who expresses it in the best way. Hosting a car wash, that's pretty cool. Getting a job, private tutoring, and stocks. Investing in halal, high return index funds and bonds. Okay, that's good, but you need to have the capital to start. So that I'm not sure that. Uh, Writing a code and selling it. Okay, that's interesting. Becoming a tutor, investing in halal stocks, reselling, investing in bonds. Okay, be careful about the Sharia compliance of bonds. Um, Commissions for art. That's interesting. Fundraising for Eagle Scouts. Selling paintings. Cool. Flipping iPhones from Facebook Marketplace onto eBay. Ooh, that's oddly specific. That I think that person's thought. Private tutoring Arabic, small business. That's good, but not specific enough. Community service to make a few dollars. Starting a YouTube channel. That's good. Hard to monetize and get to $1,000 in 1 year. But you definitely can get there. Um, Logo design commissions. I like that. Mashallah, that's a really interesting one. Getting a job. Yep. Getting a job is definitely definitely good. Buying broken bikes, fixing them, and reselling the repaired products for a higher cost. I think currently that one is my leader in the clubhouse. That's very specific, very actionable, very doable, and so on. Keep investing, participate in a maker's market, and start an online business. That's a lot, mashallah. Shoveling snow. Okay, that's good. You better hope it snows a lot to get your $1,000. Baking business, crochet, reselling shoes, working part-time at an Islamic school, starting a company. Already laid the groundwork for it. Okay. Tutoring, fundraising, auction, washing dishes at a hospice center, tutoring students, writing inspirational books, YouTube. Yep. So another business. If you're doing a business, I'd rather have the details of it. Soccer referee, crypto, nice. 3D assets on Sketchfab slash Unreal Engine. Ooh, that one sounds interesting too. All right, so that's. I think I'm gonna have that be a tie. Making YouTube videos. Full body hijab during Ramadan bazaar. Nice. Crochet plushies at school, giving a free homemade cookie for each purchase. That's a really smart way of marketing. Mashallah, I like it. Very interesting. So we have some drop shipping, paid internship. Wow, there are a lot of things here. Um, Business that solves problems. Yep, that's exactly what you need to do to have a business. Just scrolling through to see if there's anything really interesting. Um, Tote bags. Wow, there are so many, subhanAllah. Um, Art and writing competition, handbags, halal themed gift boxes for special occasions. Ooh, I like that. All right. So the ones I've liked are the bikes, the gift bags, like halal gift bags, and I really like the crochet cookie. Okay, so we'll do a little vote on those in a second. Um, let's make sure there's nothing else. Okay, AI, I like that. That's a smart thing to get involved with. Seatbelt idea. Interesting. Hi. Mashallah, there's just too much for me to get through everything, so I apologize if I didn't see yours, but I think I saw most of them. Okay, so please vote between the bike reselling, which was like buying old bikes, the halal gift basket for Eid and other special Islamic occasions, and the crochet cookie. Okay, so if you could just put in the chat whether you want to do the bike, the gift, or the crochet cookie, and we will see what comes up the most in. All right, so far, ooh, gift bag's making a run for it, but bike, yeah, all right. Yeah, I think bike has gotten it. So very cool. I think I know who that is. Hisham. I know I have your contact, unless you're a different Hisham Sheikh. So I will reach out to you. That's a great idea. Let's make it happen. Um, it's interesting. Sorry to put you on the spot, Hisham, but if I'm giving you a prize, I might as well. Hisham was in the Find Your Qibla in the summertime, and his passion project was about getting sidewalks in Shrewsbury, and it was about bikes because he gets around by bike, and there are a lot of places that don't have sidewalks. So he was working on trying to change the rules and advocate in the town hall and everything to get bikes. And now he has a business idea around bikes. So very cool. Celebrating, something that you're really passionate about is the way to go. Okay. Also, college planning. This is a great book. This is a physical, old-fashioned book. There are tons of There are amazing colleges in this country that you probably haven't heard of. Most Muslim families have heard of about 10 or 15 schools, right? I don't even need to list them, the Harvards, the Stanfords, the MITs, and so on. There are so many schools, many of which you've never heard of, some of which I've never heard of, despite being in this field for so long. And I would highly recommend getting this book and looking through it with an open mind, right? We often spend more time researching like what headphones to buy than where we want to spend 4 years and potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in college. People just don't put any time into the research. One of the most important parts of this whole college process is building the right college list and focusing on fit, finding the college that fits you, right? I can see in someone here in the chat named Emily. She's also a college professional, and she has her own business. And that's one of the things that I really respect about her. She's not necessarily just trying to get people into these Ivies and so on. She's really trying to help people find the right college for them. So feel free to put your email or website or whatever, Emily, into the chat. Um, so campus tours, try to get it like actually I'll be interested. How many people have visited a college campus, done like a college tour in 2024? Um, can people are still riding bike. How many people have done that? Okay, we have one. Don't say if you haven't done it, but just if you have, right? Okay, so we have nice. Went to Tufts. Yeah, that would be great if you say which school you visited. I Northeastern, Tufts, Madison, Beale University. Cool. Berkeley, U Chicago, UW, Bridgewater State. Nice. I was on that trip. Um, Loyola, Washington State. Nice. Albany, UMaine. Cool. MIT, Wake Forest, Kentucky. Nice. Baylor, UTD, Duke, Berkeley. Okay, that's someone who's getting after it, mashallah. Virginia Tech, Dartmouth, right? Brandeis, Princeton, Yale, UC Berkeley, right? So if you are certainly if you're in 11th grade, you should absolutely be doing this, but it's hard to go to all the colleges. So whenever you're on a family vacation and you're in some new place, try to schedule in some time to go and see the colleges in that area. Nothing will tell you whether a college is a better fit than than going out there and actually visiting it. Um, Okay. The other things to build our wealth, leverage the mentorship opportunities that we have right within our Muslim community. That we're a relatively small minority community, which means that there's like 2 or 3 degrees of separation between just about every Muslim in this country. So we can get connected to whoever it is that we want to get connected to. So imagine, so this is something someone told me that really stuck with me. He said, close your eyes and imagine the life that you really want, okay, that you dream about, and then open them and go create it, right? And the best way to do that is by finding people who have already gotten there, who have the sort of job or career or life that you really want for yourself. Go and ask them questions. Okay, adults love to give advice to young people, right? It lights them up, it makes them feel useful. So, but young people are very rarely asking adults for advice, right? The shortcut is to ask people who have already gotten there for advice. Um, so one big piece of advice I would give you is that everyone in grade 10 or higher should create a LinkedIn account. One of the biggest regrets I have in my life is I didn't create a LinkedIn account until, I don't know, 2021 or something. And as a result, like Hamzah, I've started building it up and getting followers and things like that. But LinkedIn is the only social media that I spend time on that I don't feel like I'm doing the whole brain rot thing. It's genuinely educational, but equally important, it's also a way to connect with professionals in all sorts of different fields. So if you're interested in, robotics, you can find people at companies that you like. If you're interested in, some form of law, being a human rights lawyer, you can find human rights lawyers, and then you can send them a message directly on LinkedIn and say, and this is an assignment that I give my students, and you say, hey, I'm a 10th grade student, I'm an 11th grade student at such and such school, and I really I've been looking at your profile, I really admire it, and I have a few questions that I'd love to ask you. And then either ask the questions right there by email, or even if you're even more brave, say, would it be possible to grab 15 minutes of your time for me to get some advice? And probably that 15 minutes will expand into something much more. Like being willing to get out of your comfort zone and actually ask people for advice, one of the biggest pieces of advice I will give you. Um, okay, so what's your wealth before poverty, Nia? What are people going to be doing? Sorry, I know I tried to say that this would be we'd stick to 90 minutes. I know we haven't gotten there. But Hamza, the people who are here seem like they're enjoying it. So I apologize about the time thing. But inshallah, so much benefit here. Okay, starting a small business, nice. Selling baked goods, making a LinkedIn, and meeting with dermatologists for advice. Beautiful. Very specific. I love it. More specific, the better. Message local people in the field and schedule a meeting. Research more majors. Yep. There are amazing majors at colleges. People all want to major in, biology or something that has, even if you want to do quote unquote pre-med, right? First of all, you don't even need to major in biology. You just need to take the pre-med classes. But also there's so many subsections within biology. You want to make yourself specific. Don't be this wandering generality. Be, a specific. I start studying doing more algebra. Yep. LinkedIn account. Uh, Finding out what jobs pay the most. All right, so I can give you a little hint. There is no real job out there that if your income comes from a certain number of hours that you work, right, you'll never become ultra wealthy, right? The wealthy people are making money when they sleep. And the best way to do that is to be an owner of a business, right? So you can start a business of your own. You can be an entrepreneur, and that's what I've chosen to do, right? But that might be scary. You can invest in other people's businesses. That's what investing is. So if you learn about these halal stock investing, you can buy a piece of Apple, you can buy some Nvidia, you can buy, Tesla or whatever it is, and then you have a small share of their profits as they go up, right? But being able to invest is even if you're a doctor, a neurosurgeon, and mashallah, your salary is very high, there's a cap to it, right? There's a cap. Whereas when you're an owner and there's no cap to what you can make. So writing blogs, nice. Yep, Medium's a good place. You can monetize there. If people are writers, I actually recommend Substack as a platform as opposed to Medium. Medium's really losing some steam, and Substack is really picking up. If you started a newsletter, I started a newsletter and I said I will publish a long form piece every Friday for 52 weeks, and doing that transformed my life. It's one of the things that led to doing this five before college and helped me clarify what I was trying to do. All right, free time before busyness. All right, the bad news is that time flies. The good news is that you're the pilot. All right. So you are the average of the five people you spend the most time with, right? This is a Jim Rohn said this and been very true. So suhba is one of the most important ways to improve your free time. Being around people who are ambitious, who remind you of Allah, right? And sometimes this is difficult. Some of you live in rural areas and there aren't that many Muslims. It doesn't need to only be Muslims. You can find there's always a crew or almost always at a school of people who really have goals for themselves and hold themselves accountable and don't get sucked into all the craziness of being young. So try to surround yourself with those people because those people will rub off on you, right? If you as I don't know if it's a hadith or a story, but if you work in a perfume shop, then you smell like perfume. If you work as a blacksmith, right, you smell like the smoke. So surround yourself with people that are going to help you. The killer of free time is our screen time, right? Again, we have an epidemic. I'm reading The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, and it really is an epidemic of what these screens are doing. Suicide rates have spiked, and gaming addictions and other things. Um, so, according to the American Psychological Association, teens are spending nearly 5 hours a day on social media platforms. And that's an average. Among these teens, 27% have reported anxiety and almost 26% have reported depression, right? So, these social media, when you're comparing yourself to this airbrushed reality that other people are putting out there, like we do it for the gram, we put it on Instagram, we only put the highlights. That's not their real life, but that's what people think, and they're comparing themselves to these other people. Okay, approximately two-thirds of parents express concern about their teens spending too much time in front of screens, right? And I'm sure there are many here who do that. How you spend your free time in this world will determine how you spend eternity in the Akhirah, right? So this whole thing about quadrant four and working in quadrant four, right? It gets opened up, right, by spending our free time wisely. Use your free time to get done the quadrant three things, the things that you have to do, so that you have time to focus on the things in quadrant four. Um, All right. The king of the extracurriculars. Okay, this is the passion project, right? So the best way to become that red umbrella, to really distinguish yourself, or certainly not the only way. There are other things that people can do, but one of the best ways, one of the proven paths to college success that I've seen with my own clients and that I've seen with generally is this idea of a passion project, or the Saturday morning project, as I call it, right? Or Cal Newport actually called it, and I stole it from him. Right? This is something that you work on Saturday mornings, or because that tends to be a time that people are free. What are most teenagers doing? They're sleeping. Right? Why are they sleeping? Because they don't have good sleep hygiene. They're getting way less than 8 hours of sleep a night during the week, and they need to catch up. Right? Again, procrastination, etc. But if you focus and you try to come up with a project, right? That you can really work on during that free time, whenever you have a free time, right? You don't get what you want, you get what you have to have, right? You have to have this passion, and so on, right? And the Find Your Qibla program, which I mentioned before, one of the main deliverables, one of the main things we try to do is help students come up with a passion project that is going to really knock officers' socks off, but more importantly, give you a taste of real world success. Maybe make that $1,000, or there's lots of other things that people can do. So a couple that I wanted to highlight, I already talked about the sidewalks in Shrewsbury one, but one of the students this summer, Osman, uh, he's from West Africa, and one of the things that he's obsessed with is chess. His sort of BHAG, his big, hairy, audacious goal is to be a chess grandmaster someday. And so he competes in a lot of tournaments. I mean, usually when he goes to these tournaments, they might have 200 people. He's one of the only black or brown faces that he sees there. So he created an organization called A Tribe Called Chess. I love the name. And A Tribe Called Chess is to help inspire other black and brown and minority children to take up chess at a young age, right? And so he runs all sorts of chess classes and other things, and tries to inspire a new generation of people to get involved with chess, mashallah. Um, another student of mine, Lena, she's in California. She really wants to be a geriatrician. She wants to work with the elderly, and she's already volunteering at a nursing home. So after doing Find Your Qibla, she came up with this amazing idea to do this thing that she calls the Elder Wisdom Project. So now when she goes to the nursing home to hang out with the elderly, she brings like podcasting equipment, and she records interviews with them and asks them, has a set of questions to ask them to unlock wisdom that they've gathered over the course of their life. And then she tries to put that stuff together inside of in podcast form and written form, social media, etc. Like sort of like Humans of New York, but with an elder focus, right? Can you imagine, inshallah, if she sticks with this? I think she's in ninth grade now, I believe. If she sticks with this for 4 years and keeps on building that out, she'll inshallah get lots of press. She might get written up in the New York Times, something like that. Imagine having that on your college application compared to just an everyday sort of extracurricular that they've seen a million times before. Um, all right. So, what is your free time before busyness, Nia? What are you going to do or not do to better use your free time in 2025? Let's see what we can come up with here. And if you say passion project, I'd much rather have you say an idea for your passion project because uh, that would be more specific. Try to find something I love more than screens. I like that. Screens are incredibly addictive, right? The dopamine hit that we get from those screens. There are some very, very capable engineers who have built algorithms to keep us on their platform. And it's very, very tough to beat the algorithm. Photography, mashallah, learning a new language, becoming more artistic. Uh, Reading, biking, doing stuff on my phone that's productive and not social media. Create an ordered to-do list every morning. That's a great idea. Learning a new skill and enhancing Arabic language. Beautiful. Crochet club at school. Yeah, one of the girls at the school that I worked at started a crochet club during the pandemic. It became the most popular club in the school. And the proof of it was that boys started crocheting as well. Typically, it was only girls, but mashallah, it was so popular that a bunch of boys started crocheting. Let's see. Uh, Healthy lifestyle, gamifying learning with things like Duolingo. Yep, LinkedIn and Tafsir. Nice. There is definitely overlap between some of these things. Traveling the world, nice. Investing in stocks. Um, Finding nice spots around town for photography. Yep, we all have, that's a great thing to do with your phone, right? But then do something with the photographs when you take it, right? Try to have some sort of a beneficial online footprint as you're applying to college. Some links that you could share with admissions officers, a portfolio of the different things that you've worked on, things like that. Starting a nonprofit for tutoring, nice. Using vacation time in Nigeria to teach girls to swim while staying in shape. Nice. Very, that's a really cool one. Um, DECA, Business Club. Nice. Real estate teaching. Beautiful. All sorts of good things. I hope you guys are writing these things down, right? And then telling other people, right? And then asking people to hold you accountable. All right. Last one, life before death. Okay, so this is a saying, I believe it was Hamzah Yusuf, I'm not sure, but act for your world as if you will live forever, and act for your hereafter as if you are going to die tomorrow. So act for your world as if you're going to live forever, but act for your hereafter as if you are going to die tomorrow. Right? And the single most important thing that we're going to be held accountable for on the day of judgment is our salah. And I ask a lot of teenagers. It was in that quiz earlier. How are you doing with salah? How are you doing with praying 5 times a day, praying on time, and so on? And the stats are not great. They're something like 10% of the ummah is are 5-time namazis praying 5 times a day. But the first of man's deeds for which he will be called to account on the day of judgment will be salah. If it is found to be perfect, if it's found in a good condition, he will be safe and successful. What more do we want than to be safe and successful on the day of judgment? Right? But if it's incomplete, he'll be unfortunate and a loser. Right? So salah, I found this, I don't know if it's a bumper sticker or something. Salah is not part-time, not sometime. It should be on time and all time because death can come at any time. Right? SubhanAllah. So we need to really focus on the akhirah. This is by far the most important section of this whole presentation, and one of the best ways for us to get ready. Okay, another thing that someone taught me shortly after I became Muslim, and which has always stuck with me. He said, if you want to speak to Allah, raise your hands in dua. And if you want Allah to speak to you, open the Quran and read his book, right? So this is amazing. We have a direct connection with Allah, right? Dua is like our superpower, right? A lot of people set goals and things. Make dua for your goals. In addition to telling people and holding you accountable and so on, make dua. Ask Allah, right? The Rabbul Asbab, the Al-Qadir, Al-Alim, Al-Sami'. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is able to grant you all of those things. And then read his book, right? How many of us have Qur'ans sitting on our shelves that are gathering dust because we never take them out? Right? We need to just establish a habit in addition to reading, the books and so on, make sure to read the book. Make sure to read the Quran. Have a daily habit. For me, it's after Fajr, right? I try to pray Fajr in the masjid as much as I can, and I try to sit and read a few pages of Quran just as a daily habit. And you end up doing, a khatam of Quran over time, right? So make a plan for daily dua, right? And Quran. Aim bigger this Ramadan, right? Ramadan is right around the corner. Ramadan pretty much coincides with the month of March this year, right? So we essentially have 2 months until Ramadan, right? The Prophet ﷺ was starting to prepare from way before this, right? He was starting to prepare for Ramadan, but now it's time to kick it in gear, right? The days are short. It's easy to get some nafil fasts in, but start planning how can we use the barakah of Ramadan, Ramadan 2025, or really we should use the Hijri year, but how can we use this to make a lasting change in our lives? How can this be the best Ramadan? If you start making this niyyah, start making these plans now, right? Then we have a real chance of having this transformation. And then in terms of our akhlaq, right? Focus, so much of people's focus in high school are on what I call resume virtues, right? They're your GPA, your SATs, your extracurriculars, the things you would put on a resume, the things you put on a college application, to be totally honest, right? That's the sole focus. Instead, you should focus on eulogy virtues. Eulogy virtues are the things that people would say about you at your funeral. Your kindness, your generosity, right? Your honesty, these sorts of things. Your curiosity, your charisma, your ambition, right? Your humility, right? These are the sorts of qualities. Those things come through very loud and clear, especially in the recommendation letters that your teachers and other people write, right? That's where college admissions people get to see your eulogy virtues, and also in your own essays, right? We all have values that are very, very important to us. It's important to know what those are and celebrate those. And one of the best ways to do that is just to follow the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. No one had better akhlaq than the Prophet ﷺ. So if we try to learn as much about that and incorporate as much into our lives as we can, right? The Sunnah has an amazing magnetic force to it. The brother who introduced me to Islam when I was in high school, a lot of what it was he just practiced a lot of the Sunnah unapologetically and openly. When he would eat with his fingers, right? The first time I met him, he was eating goat curry sitting on the floor, from a communal plate with his cousin. It's amazing. He used to, in addition to using a toothbrush, he used to have the miswak. And we're like, you're brushing your teeth with a stick, but it was amazing, and it stuck in my head, right? So try to practice as much of the sunnah as possible, especially the sunnah of generosity and so on. So let's make one final niyyah. What is your life before death niyyah? What is one niyyah for how you're going to improve your relationship with Islam in 2025? Try to be as specific as you can. Go to the last slide on Salat. Okay, I'll try to remember to do that. There's some religious questions coming in here. Do you go to Jahannam if you miss prayer and things like that? I'm not really. You should speak about things like that with a very qualified scholar, and so on. But there is no doubt that Salah is incredibly important, and subhanallah. Memorize the Quran. That's mashallah, a very big goal. Start reading 3 to 5 pages of Quran daily. That's a nice, very specific intention. And translation and taking notes, that's beautiful, right? So a lot of us read the Arabic of the Quran, but we don't necessarily speak or understand Quranic Arabic. So reading the translation or tafsir or sirah or other things that can, get us in touch with Islam. Doing a lot of dhikr. Okay, I didn't mention dhikr here, so that's beautiful. Nafil fasts, memorizing the entire Quran, right? MashaAllah, I bet we have some hufaz in this group. Learning one ayah a day, right? Right now, Surah Haqa, MashaAllah. Um, 5 times a day for Quran, mashallah. Never miss another prayer, no matter the circumstance. If I miss the time, make it up later. SubhanAllah. That's beautiful, right? Yeah, SubhanAllah. I remember making that niyyah myself. That it wasn't when I first became Muslim. When I first became Muslim, right? I tried to pray, but I'd make up a lot of prayers at night, and eventually I sort of drifted quite far from Islam during my first couple of years in college. But then I did the study abroad in Egypt, and I just made that niyyah, firm niyyah, that inshallah I'll never again knowingly miss a prayer. Of course, sometimes you sleep through it, or something happens. Prioritizing salah, 15 minutes of Quran. Nice. Using the previous slide as an analogy. I love that. Because then you'll be able to read the best book. Um, nice. A lot of Quran, memorizing an ayah a day, consistency in salat, praying salat on time. Nice. These are beautiful. Making tawbah each day, each night at the end of the day. That's an amazing one, mashallah. Um, fantastic. Alhamdulillah. So many great ones. Um, Okay, so now we've done the reflection, we've made the niyas, we've written them down. Now we need to sort of start taking action, right? So one of the things that we work on in Find Your Qibla, one of the key elements of it, and a concept that I really want to leave you with, is this idea of finding your ikigai. So an ikigai, I call it a Japanese Venn diagram on steroids, right? It's the overlap of these four things: what you love, what you're good at, what you can be paid for, and what the world needs, right? So as you're planning your passion project, as you're trying to figure out what you really want to do with this one wild and precious life, as you're trying to align your dunyawi and your akhirah goals, right? Try to find that ikigai. And I've sort of rebranded the ikigai as your qibla. That's what finding your qibla is all about. It's trying to find that intersection of all these things. That takes a lot of deep thought, a lot of deep thinking, and so on, right? And one of the ways that we help people do that is through Find Your Qibla. So what are the goals of Find Your Qibla? So Find Your Qibla is about developing a vision for your hayat dunya, for the life of this world, but uh, then also focusing on the next, having yaqeen, having conviction in the promises of Allah, that the day of judgment is real, that Jahannam is real, that Jannah is real, and having real ambition for success there. And then after we've sort of established those GPS coordinates of our dreams, then we work backwards from that to create a Saturday morning project that's aligned with that qibla, right? That connects to that qibla, right? That's going to help us ultimately design our life in a way that we are living in this center part, right? But we start doing that while we're in high school. We design that project, right? And then, inshallah, after you come up with the idea during Find Your Qibla and start it, right? You start to scale it out, right? Like I said, with this business that I'm doing, like the power of that 1% better every day is incredible, right? And so you can scale that project over your 4 years, and then inshallah get into the college of your dreams, right? The inshallah the colleges, this passion project becomes sort of the centerpiece of your college application, right? This is just a little snippet of what it looks like on the inside. This was from Find Your Qibla in the summer. But you have like Muslim teenagers from all over the country, even all over the world. We've had students from overseas as well, right? So who are working together and have this common goal of finding their their qibla, and it's just so energizing right? I'm in the middle of my Qibla or my Ikigai when I'm teaching, when I'm doing things like I'm doing right now, but especially when I'm working with these students who have really, really committed to working on that. Um, and Hamza, this is why I love what I do, right? You eventually get texts like this. Hamza, I got a full ride to Notre Dame through Questbridge. Sorry, I left some names here, but this student got into UPenn. Mashallah. This is another one. Uh, this summer, Brother Hamza met with Hikmat for a 1 hour consultation. Her anxiety was through the roof. Alhamdulillah, she's now received acceptance letters from UT, Austin Tufts, Northwestern, and Columbia. And she's actually a freshman at Columbia now. And she worked with us in the college essay boot camp last summer. Amazing results that people can get. So if you're interested in this right now, our next cohort of Find Your Qibla is going to be in Ramadan. We currently are doing one that started in the beginning of December, but the next one is going to be in Ramadan. Let me escape out of this. Escape. Let me put this in the chat. Copy and chat. So, with this wait list, is because we're not starting it until Ramadan, we've created a new wait list for this cohort. Um, and it usually sells out. So if you're able to get on the wait list now, that's great. And then what happens after that is our director of enrollment, Patrick, who I believe will be with us in a moment during the Q&A, will reach out to you to set up an initial meeting and get to know you a little bit better. And then eventually, a little bit closer to Ramadan, if you're really interested, then we go through a much more in-depth process where I'll talk to you, especially talk to the children, find out more about them, find out how they're doing in high school, find out about their dreams, right? And to see whether we can be a good fit to help them get there. So, alhamdulillah, we currently have 26 students. Recently hired an amazing new coach, Sister Morjan. She may also be here during the Q&A. So I highly encourage you, if you're interested, if you like what you've heard today, this is, like I said, the freemium model. We do a lot of the free stuff, but if you really want to change, you need that sort of individual coaching and being in a cohort of people who are really working hard to change themselves. This is a gap that I saw in the market. This is something that I want for my own children, that I think people can really benefit from. That we need. Yes, college is very important, but what's so great about having a college degree if we sacrificed our akhirah in order to get there, right? And instead of being someone who gets changed on campus, we can be someone who changes the campus. And one of the imams who I've always looked up to, he says that in this life you're either da'i or mad'u. You're either someone who calls towards Allah, or you're being mad'u, you're being called away from Allah. And so if you want to go to a college campus where all sorts of craziness is going to happen, you need to have that fikr of da'wah. You need to be really established in your Islam in order to get the most out of it. Um, all right, so um, this is the other prize that we'll be giving. So the prizes, by the way, are these $25 Amazon gift cards. So far we have Basma and we have Hisham. Who's going to be the next one? So what's something you learned today that you'll apply this week? This is a sort of contest. Essentially, this is for your best takeaway. Share a concept or an idea that really resonated with you. But obviously, put a little effort into it. I'm always really interested to see. There was a lot of stuff packed into this. What are the concepts that really resonated with you? What do you think is really going to actually change? Was there some sort of light bulb moment, aha moment, and just sort of explain that, and then we'll come up with our final prize winner. Uh, okay, so there were some questions about Find Your Qibla. It's so essentially it's for people in grades 8 through 11. Certainly, we've had 12th graders, we've had seniors as well. Seventh graders, some people did it the summer between seventh and eighth grade last summer. Um, it really depends. It is a fairly sophisticated curriculum. You need to be really able to do introspection. That's why we do the interviews. So if you're interested, you can certainly sign up and we can talk about it. There are some 12-year-olds who I feel like I'm talking to an adult, so it's possible, but typically I recommend eighth grade, the whole five before college to start. Okay, so let's see. Um, Managing sleep time, project idea, sleep scheduled, prioritize Dean over Dunya. Nice. Manage screen time, making a schedule and using my free time wisely to focus on the future. Finding a project idea, Pomodoro technique. I learned to minimize my screen time and try to replace it with learning new skills and hobbies. Nice. Managing work to break down stress. Having a goal to work on and how not to procrastinate. Nice. Um, Ikigai method resonates. Nice. Yeah, I'm interested in the concepts, right? The concepts, the ideas, like what should we do more of? The things which where you put the hearts up that you really enjoyed. Um, nice. I love that. I've learned that connecting with Islam is the most important factor to remember, and with Islam, you can succeed in many things. Beautiful takeaway, mashallah. Reading books, taking breaks from the screen, start interacting with the real world. Nice. Find my goals, managing time, setting a schedule. Mashallah, amazing. Um, 5 5 5 30, 3 2 1 rule before sleeping. Nice. Uh, you can throw the 1 1 1 and then have the number trifecta. Uh, nice. Studying SAT. Sleep. Okay, that was one that never lets my schooling interfere with my education. Really powerful. Nice. Road work. I'm a writer and we'll use the idea of going on a walk. Nice, beautiful. That's amazing. Pomodoro, manageable lifestyle, changing habits. Use it. Nice. Gap in my knowledge about how the college application process is. Yeah, we'll have other webinars that are very sort of focused on what is the Common App? How does it all work? And trying to really educate people. But this stuff that we're talking about is actually the critical things, right? So many people focus on things like the college essay. This is the stuff that you write about on your college essay. This is the way to really get there. Um, the red umbrella, right? Colleges do not just look at the person with just the highest GPA. Nice, beautiful. That's a great one, Yasser. Do not procrastinate yourself on an assignment. Do an assignment, rather choose to do it yourself. Nice. Balance the social life. Nice. Fiber for your brain. Beautiful. Why the A student works for the C student. Nice. I like it. Um, uh, Yasser's was okay. Sorry, that's um, workout in the morning, Pomodoro, time management. There's really no sorry, and like linking it to Islam gives me an amazing overview to Muslims. Beautiful. There's really no in between. You must work towards being a da'i or you'll be pulled away from your deen. Beautiful. Try to use my screen time to learn ASL and crocheting skills. Excellent. Um, Beautiful. Creating a reading habit. Beautiful. Uh, Yep, everyone's so hyper focused on GPA, and although it's important, I should spend time. Nice. I'm so glad to hear that people are getting like the main messages. The Eisenhower matrix, connecting the Hadith and Quran with the concepts. Excellent. Maintaining sleep hygiene, um, passion project, mashallah. Elder project and examples of passion projects. Nice. They're inspirational. Um, Nice. I love that. You can apply all these things as an adult. A lot of people have told me, can you do a Find Your Qibla for adults? It's something I sort of am thinking about. I don't want to lose the focus of what I'm doing, but we all need this. I think a lot of adults they wait until they have the sort of midlife crisis, and they're like, "What am I doing with my life? I'm just in this corporate job, and I feel so disconnected from who I am at my core." And then they finally do the thing they always wanted to do. Right? I'm trying to get to teenagers and have them think about these things to be able to follow their passions from an early age. Find your why early. Um, right. You want to speak to Allah, raise your hands. You want Allah to talk to you, open the Quran. Nice, beautiful. Um, Grades aren't everything, and who I am makes a difference. Beautiful. All right. So I think these were all really good. There was a really good one from Yasser earlier. Let me find that one. Something I learned today that I will apply this week, and the idea really stuck with me, is becoming the red umbrella. Colleges do not look at the person with just the highest GPA, the most extracurriculars, and the most APs. You have to be different, which is what I'll strive to do. A lot of other people have said something like that, but that one really worked. And the other one that I really liked, let me see if I can find it. Um, this was from Manal. I like the idea of having a goal to work on and how not to procrastinate. I am putting the crochet with cookies into effect in the future. I am inspired. Um, I feel like because I sort of teased the idea of giving Manal a prize earlier, I think we should actually give her a prize this time. It's a very specific goal. And so I will do that. I can find your email. Manal, maybe you could send me a private, not private, the direct to host some panelists with your email. Um, Anyway, that was great. Hey, so I know it's already way over time. I totally understand if people have to leave, but if people do have questions, um, we can maybe answer them. Are Patrick and Morjan here? I don't know if you guys are still here. If you are, you guys can come on to camera. Um, and I'm going to go into the Q&A at this point and see some questions there. So, yep. So I will be sharing the recording, and I will share the slides by email with the email that you use to register for this. All right. So here are some questions. Yeah. I don't know if Patrick and Morjan are here, but if you are, you can come on. Okay. We just moved from California, where we were homeschooling with charter and all the classes and funds. Now in Texas, I can't seem to figure out if I should continue to homeschool my eighth grade son next year or put him in an online type of school like Legacy, an online Islamic school. And even how to homeschool in high school. I don't want to mess up his college admissions. All right, so I think we definitely need to do a webinar about homeschool and high school, homeschool and college, because it is a popular topic. People ask about it. We are homeschoolers as well. We've homeschooled my son and my daughter from about second to seventh grade, and then we have chosen to send them to Islamic school starting in eighth grade to give them that taste. So we tried to find that balance. Actually, right now my daughter is doing a hybrid homeschool Islamic school program. Um, so I really appreciate homeschooling and what it opens up for people. But you do need to be strategic. You do need to be strategic and think about some of this college stuff. Um, Obviously there are different types of homeschool, so it's a big question. We'll try to do a webinar on that at some point in the future. All right, a lot of questions coming in. I want to set like a timer here because I'm gonna do maximum 20 minutes because it's already we're way over. Timer 19 minutes. All right, this one now. I was wondering, does leading and running a school club count as a passion project? Uh, so it's good to lead a school club and be a leader, and that's definitely something that colleges enjoy. But it's a little different than a passion project because you're not a category of one, right? You want to become that category of one. You want to become the red umbrella. So there are going to be a lot of president of the MSA, or I mean, there aren't that many MSA people, but the Model UN or other things. Of course, it's very good, and leadership is important, and you can really only be a leader if something already exists. But in order, the passion project, when we talk about that specifically, that's more something that you've created yourself. It's a something that you have. It's been born in your mind, and then you made it come alive in the world. And those things really help you become that category of one. Um, should a high school sophomore create a LinkedIn account? I said 10th grade. Obviously parents need to make the decisions here. But I definitely think compared to some of the other social media that people are involved in, LinkedIn is a lot safer, I would say. And also it's just a, you know, place to build your profile. Ultimately, when you are applying to jobs or even summer jobs or internships or things like that, having that LinkedIn profile, having people be able to do it. But more than that, it's following interesting people, getting ideas from them, and then being able to reach out directly to people. Incredibly, incredibly valuable. Real estate, an interesting question. I mean, I think real estate's a really, another good way to build wealth. It's another investment that will let you make money while you sleep, having rental properties and things like that. Probably not something that a teenager necessarily can get involved with, but learning a lot about real estate and being sort of a master of that is definitely an unusual thing for a teenager to do. So, sounds like it could be cool. Um, want to explore more college majors as I do not know many. How should I go about doing that? Um, Go to college websites. Actually, use ChatGPT. So create a prompt that says something like, I am currently in X grade and I'm interested in a lot of things, and then list it. List the different things. Say, what are some interesting, unique, unusual college majors that I might not have thought of that would allow me to explore these passions? Something like that, and people will really you'll find some interesting things. And then you can say, cite sources, tell me specific colleges, that sort of thing. Um, how do you come up with a focus for your passion project? The first half of Find Your Qibla is all about sort of helping you do that. It's about like looking back into your past. We have people do an interview with their parents. We have people looking at their present. What are those things that get you into that flow state? What are those things that you really resonate with you? We have people look into their future, imagine all the things that they want to do, be, have, right? And put that all together, and through the one-on-one coaching and the brainstorming and so on, you come and ChatGPT, to be honest, you come up with a project that really resonates with you, that like you feel your heart speed up when you think about it. You get those goosebumps, and when you find something like that, then you're in really good shape. If I'm in eighth grade, do you recommend FYQ? Yep, we definitely have had a lot of eighth graders do it in the past. One of the reasons we do the interview process is to make sure that it's right for you. There have been people, eighth graders that I've met that maybe aren't quite there yet maturity wise, but definitely it can be really beneficial. I mean, it is five before college and so on. How can we be informed of future webinars like this? When you registered for this, you probably got onto our email list. So try to stay on that, and that's where we announce things in that WhatsApp group. If you join that, we put it on our social media. You can follow us on Instagram or Facebook. So we do a pretty good job of getting the word out. We had almost 500 registrants for today's webinar. Um, so you should hear about it. Can you explain about the project of Saturday? So the Saturday morning project is just this idea that Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, whenever there are times in the week that aren't super busy, that you don't have a lot of things that you have to do, and that's when you can do those important but not urgent tasks. And one of those is the Saturday morning project, is the passion project, and so on. Best colleges considering Muslims and academics. That's a great question. It's another long-term project we are starting to work on, is to rate Muslim colleges, sort of re-rank the U.S. News and World Report colleges based on the what do you call it? The quality of Muslim campus life. Incidentally, there's a website run by a good friend of mine named Salman Khan, called Muslim Campus Life. You can Google it right now, and it has some really good information about how to get the most out of your experience, and has other information about specific colleges. I don't necessarily want to call out individual colleges. I think one great college is University of Michigan. They were the first college to have a Muslim chaplain, and it has a really, really vibrant Muslim campus life. Um, you know, the quality, like I know the schools in New England much better, and definitely some schools have a very active MSA. Their musalla is very easily accessible. Like Harvard versus MIT. Harvard, the musalla is in the basement of a freshman dorm. It's almost impossible to find unless you really know where you're going. MIT's musalla is like smack dab in the middle of the campus, right? So those are little differences. I mean, the Harvard Islamic Society was an amazing place. I got so much benefit from it. But some schools are much more, you know, have great infrastructure. Um, let's see, which AP classes do you recommend to get into medical school and prepare for college? Obviously, if you're more STEM oriented, you want to try to take as many, STEM based APs. So things like obviously AP Bio, maybe AP Chem, AP Physics, those kinds of things. I think you don't get into medical school in high school unless you're applying to one of these 7-year accelerated programs. But in general, you're applying to medical school after college. So you want to go to a college where you can succeed, where you can get really top grades, and you can get your pre-med requirements. They have a good health advising service, but you also want to reach out to doctors. We do not have a shortage of Muslim doctors out there. Ask them for advice. Sister Morjan, who's the other coach with us, she followed a pre-med track. She knows a lot about it. She did eventually switch gears and come towards education, but she was very gung ho on that path. Um, Let's see. Any tips on starting a passion project? I have lots. That's sort of what Find Your Qibla is all about. I do think I find myself increasingly using ChatGPT even in some of the one-on-one meetings. Again, it's about asking the right questions, and trying to uncover things like that. But that is, you know, helping people come up with that is really one of the main things that we do in Find Your Qibla. And then after Find Your Qibla is just an 8-week program. After that, we try to help people scale it and really build it out. Um, should I do an internship as a freshman in high school? I'm taking an engineering class. Yep. So you'll find as you get older, there will be more and more opportunities, right? So after freshman year, some of there are age restrictions on some things. So if you're able to find programs, you just have to dig a little deeper. After sophomore year, you'll find even more, and junior year is there are tons and tons of programs. But remember, you don't need to do an official program. You can also create your own internship. You can shadow people. Use your family's network. Go to the masjid. Find people in professions that you're interested in, and spend time with them. Research is another great thing to get involved with. there are a lot of opportunities to do that. Find a professor that you're really interested in doing an interesting thing and offer your services for free, right? Say, hey, I will do whatever I need to do. I really love what you're doing and I want to learn more. That sort of thing can get you ahead. Uh, when is a good time to start writing the college essay? I recommend the summer between junior and senior year. That's when we run the college essay boot camp. I do not recommend writing it sort of earlier than that because you really want to do a lot of stuff before you sit down and write your college essays. Um, you know, it's good to educate yourself and find out what they're all about. And, we do webinars about it and other things. So you have the sense, writing down that story worthy, the thing I told you about before is a great way to prep for it. But the actual writing, I'd recommend doing. I used to try to do it with my juniors and, they'd get something done, but it was never quite the same as when they were actually in the middle of the process. A lot of people need the reality of college to do the best. Um, how can everything that has been discussed here be tailored to accommodate a high school with ASD? Could you define ASD? Is that not 100% sure? I don't want to get the acronym wrong. So inshallah, if Sister Asma is still here, she could let us know. Autism, okay. Autism spectrum disorder. Okay. Um, how could everything? Uh, so I think definitely a good idea. We've certainly worked with neurodivergent kids. Obviously, it is a spectrum, so there's a wide range of things. I think some, what I don't know if they still call it Asperger's, but where, there's a sometimes people on the autism spectrum have an ability to sort of hyper focus and go insanely far. I knew a student who Arabic was the thing that he was obsessed with, and his level of Arabic by the time he graduated was just absolutely insane. Like he could speak fluent Fusha, and so on. So sometimes that ability to hyper focus, right? There's always when Allah takes something away, he replaces it with something else. Not something I'm is super. It's not a specialty of mine, but I definitely think there are a lot of things and so on. Is it too late to start a passion project in grade 11? No, definitely not. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is today, is right now. Um, uh, Obviously, when you started earlier, there's more time for it to grow and scale and build and evolve. But 12th graders have started passion projects. You know, I heard a story of someone who was about to apply to college as the summer of their senior year, and they hadn't really done any passion projects. But they were also volunteering at a nursing home, and so the college counselor was like, "What, so what's your thing? What are you interested in?" She's like, "There's nothing. I'm not passionate about everything. I don't care." And then she's like, I mean, I do know a lot about like makeup. I spend hours a day watching tutorials and like you spend all my allowance at Sephora or whatever. And so they came up with the idea that she would go to the nursing home and do sort of makeup for the people that were there. And it was this amazing way for the elderly, women to feel beautiful again. And it became super popular. And as a result, lots of people she ended up getting a lot of press. It was written up in the newspaper and so on. And so she had a passion project that she created sort of late in the game that ended up really moving the needle for her. So it's never too late. It's never too late. Difference between Ivy League schools and other schools. So the Ivy League is just a sports league, right? It's just some of the oldest schools in the country that were founded that play sports against each other. So there's no mystical, amazing thing. They're very, very different. Dartmouth and Cornell are sort of in very rural areas, sort of in the middle of the woods. Columbia and UPenn are right in the middle of New York City and Philadelphia, right? Harvard, Yale, Princeton, right? They all have their own unique flavor. Um, no doubt they are great schools, right? They do have a well-deserved reputation. Hamza, I had a fantastic experience at Harvard. But one thing to keep in mind is it's just like there are so many ways to be successful. 97% of students go to schools with an acceptance rate of 50% or higher, right? Only 3% of students are going to these highly selective schools. A lot of the most successful people in the real world didn't go to the big brand name college. So obviously, it is sort of a specialty of ours. It is something that we work hard to help you get those types of results. But I don't want people to put so much pressure. Oddly, when you stop putting pressure on yourself to get college results, you often actually end up excelling and doing better. Um, Let's see. Couple more questions. Uh, so the guests, I think that Patrick, I found a message from him saying that he had to go to bed, and Morjan, I think, is in a place where she can't be on screen and on audio. So, yeah. I was wondering what stuck out to you in Islam. What caused you to choose it when you were 15? Mashallah, great question. So I have a video on my YouTube channel, sort of telling the story of me embracing Islam. I sort of shared some things there about Nabil and the Sunnah. I think there were so many things that sort of I think like Hamza, I was born and raised in the Christian tradition, and I always had a belief in God, but I didn't really know how to reach it. And there were things in Christianity like the Trinity and stuff that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And the first time I was really around Muslims, I was like, these are people with genuine real belief. Like they're not just paying lip service to these things, they really believe. And they were also some of the kindest, most interesting, most humble people that I met. And Allah knows best what changes our heart. um but yeah, it's a long story, inshallah. Um, my son is playing baseball. Is there a likelihood of him any benefit in playing high school for college admissions? Yep. So I talked earlier, I don't know if you were here, about sports. Whether your son is a superstar and he has a chance of playing baseball in college, or he's on left bench, he's not even playing in the games. There's absolutely a lot of benefits for college in doing that, right? Maybe not directly in that sense. But in terms of personal development, in terms of doing something that they really care a lot about, in terms of time management in order to be doing a sport on top of everything else. So there are a lot of benefits to doing that if it's something that the child really enjoys. I wouldn't just do a sport just because you have to do a sport. Some people are not as athletic, but I know sports were incredibly important for me, and so on. And then, of course, if your child is an really top athlete, then that opens up all sorts of possibilities. All right, we have about 20 seconds left, and I'm getting to the last question. I think I just did. Alhamdulillah. Perfect timing. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you so much. This went quite a bit longer than 90 minutes. We're at 2.5 hours, but thank you so much for all of you who stuck around. I really enjoyed the conversation. Learned learned a lot. Oh, the YouTube link is there in the chat. Nice. Um, Okay. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.